welcome back to Stuff You Can Do in Excel, Tableau, and Power BI. Today we're going to be looking at how to create calculated fields in a Tableau database. So I'm Richard. Let's get right into it. So here's our Tableau interface, and the first thing I want to do is load up the file I'm going to use. I'm going to use a file today called Tableau to Truck Sales. This file is available to you for you to follow along and do this exercise along with me if you like. So we're going to open this data file, and when I do, of course, it's going to open up this data file for me, and I'm going to want to run my data interpreter on it, as I always like to do. So we'll run the data interpreter and make sure that our data file looks acceptable to us. So we'll review the results. Now remember, the results always pop up in an Excel file. So when we see that Excel file, and here it is, it actually popped up on my other screen, but I'll drag it over here. So we've got our key, and we look at our sheet down here, and sure enough, it looks like our headings are proper. We've got our data down here, so it looks like it's pretty good. We can delete this file. So now I'm going to go down to sheet 1, and it'll bring up my workspace that I'm going to use here. I've got my different files, whether or not the dealership has been audited, the region, the state. I've got the months that are involved here. And what I don't have, you'll notice, is like quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. I don't have annual. Those totals are not there, and I might want to use them. So for instance, if I just wanted to look at by region, and I wanted to look at sales for January, I could do that, and it's going to give me a chart for each of my 4 regions. I could then add February, but if I do add February, what it's going to do is it's going to give me a separate chart for February. Same thing for March. I really like to merge all those 3 together and see a single chart for the region for the first quarter. I don't have that, so I'm going to have to create that. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to go up. First, let's get rid of these, and let's reset this thing. We'll leave that over here. We'll get that out of there as well. So we're going to go up to analysis. It's up here on the top line, and on the top line we'll hit analysis, and we're going to go down to calculated field. So we're going to create a calculated field. It's going to open up a dialog box for us, and the first thing it wants us to do is to name this. So we're going to call this quarter 1. Now this blank box, it's not real intuitive what's going on in this blank box, but this is where you type your formula down here below the name of the new variable. Now one way you could do it is you could simply type in each of the years, but if I typed in January, it's not going to know what to do with that. It's going to find it, right? But it's going to put the brackets around it, which is what I want. You want brackets around these. If you don't put a bracket around each one of these, if you do a parenthesis, it's not going to like it. Right now it says the calculation is valid. If I was to put, let's say I'm going to add a plus and I'm going to put a parenthesis, look what happens. Down here it says, oh, calculation contains errors, because I can't use that. I want to use February. So I can type in February, and I find February. There it is, and I'm going to type it in, and it puts the brackets around it. The other thing I can do is just drag it. So I can go grab March and drag it over here, and it is going to put the brackets around that. Once I've got my formula, I don't have to put any equal signs or anything. That's intuitive. So I'm just going to hit OK, and it's going to create a variable for me over on the left called quarter 1, and there it is. I can do the same thing and create a new one. I can go and create for quarter 2. So I go down to create calculated field, and I'm going to call that quarter 2. I simply have to drag those over. So it's going to be my April. I'm going to drag in there plus my May plus June. So it's really intuitive. I can just drag those over. It really works very nicely, and hit OK. Now I'm going to pause this and create variables for quarter 3 and quarter 4, and then we'll come back. So you can see where I've now created variables for quarter 3 and quarter 4. So if I wanted to put those in there now, if I wanted to look at each region by for quarter 1, I could certainly do that, right? I could look at each region for, if I didn't want to do that, if I want to do it for quarter 2, I could do that as well. And it's going to give me those, whoops, I didn't drag it up there all the way. It's going to give me that data as well. Now, the other nice thing about this is there's 2 other things I can do with these. I can edit these if I want to. What if I wanted to create for the year? right, for each region. Well, I don't have that, but I can actually do a formula where I combine calculated variables into a new calculated variable. So I'll go back to my analysis, create calculated field. I'll simply drag quarter 1 plus quarter 2 plus quarter 3 plus quarter 4, and I'm going to call that annual. Okay, and so I'll click OK, and now I've got this annual variable up here. I can drag it up there, and I get, for each region, the annual sales. If I wanted to put the labels in there, I drag that over labels. I can take region and color those, and so now I've got a really nice chart showing me for the year, for each region, what I had in terms of sales. So it's a really useful tool to be able to create this calculated field. By the way, I can also edit those. So I can go into, I could simply click on one of those, and I can go into analysis and go to edit the field. I could actually click the down arrow. Let's see. Well, no, let's go up here and click the down arrow, and I can do the same thing. I can edit that field here with the edit field, and it'll allow me to go in and change that formula and edit it if I wished. So I can get to the editing for each one of these calculated fields in a couple of different ways. So that's a way to create a calculated field in Tableau to create a measure that might not be in the original data.